going to lose their immunity. They're not going to be able to drive. I will take your driver's license. Good luck walking to work.
Well, I don't call them undocumented immigrants. I call them illegal immigrants because that's what they are.
We're actually taking a sledgehammer to the oldest DEI program in the federal government.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting.
This is not about safety. What this is about is coming into our city by the thousands and terrorizing people simply because they're Latino or Somali.
ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID.
And good morning to you and to yours. And it's Monday, and it's the 19th of January. And welcome to the program. How are you? I was just watching just earlier, somebody on one of the community Facebook pages posted a picture of, not a picture, but a video of a UFO around Blackfoot area. Someone said it was around like in Firth area. So I watched the video a couple of times. I think it's very likely that it's the International Space Station. Once in a while, when the sun is at just the right angle, when it goes across the sky, it is insanely bright. So there are people, I think they're hoping that the alien invasion is about to begin. And can you really blame them? I don't know if you can blame. There are times when I look up or I actually see the news cycle and I read what's happening in the world, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever it is, if it's the alien invasion that's the beginning of the end, go ahead. Like let's just get going with it. But I don't think this is an alien invasion. Like I said, it's the actual light moving across the sky is a little bit fuzzy, and I think that's more of a focus issue than the actual thing. But my guess is it was probably the International Space Station. But at any rate, how are you? We've had another weekend where Minneapolis is the problem child in America. Minneapolis is a hot mess, made worse by none other than Minneapolis itself. And I don't know if I've ever seen, I'm sure I have, maybe it's just how recent it is, but when you take the whole cadre of clowns, from Tim Walz to Jacob Fry, and they make their situation worse. I think they want that, actually. They want to make it worse. They do everything they can to inflame it. And you had Jacob Fry saying, you don't see these ICE raids happening in red states. Well, no kidding, Sherlock, because there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, red states aren't sanctuary states. In red states, we haven't spent the last several years saying, hey, if you're illegal, you come be in our state and you're going to get lots of goodies. And we haven't done that. So I would imagine per capita, you have fewer illegals in red states than you do in blue states. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but that's just my hunch, because that's what happens when you become a sanctuary state. So you've been inviting them to your state and cities for a number of years now. And the second reason you're not really seeing them as visible in red states is that we have sane law enforcement here and a sane legal system that will cooperate with ICE because, I don't know, they're enforcing the law. They're enforcing our immigration laws, which have been on the books for a long time. And so they're not out in the streets having to hunt people down that their prosecutors sprung from jail hours earlier or a day or two or three ago. That's why you're not seeing this in red states. It's not political favoritism. It's called sanity versus insanity. So you have that, and I will tell you, when I got to work this morning and I looked at what clips were available and what was happening out there, internally I just went, That's where I'm at with this whole thing, because it's a problem made worse by the people complaining about the problem. And I'm going to tell you, I don't have a lot of patience for this. And I'm not saying this like Biden did. I'm losing my patience with. No, I'm. This is what I'm frustrated by. Obama did the exact same thing. Obama used to his Department of Homeland Security. ICE would go into these cities. On occasion, they'd have to do a raid. Quite often, local authorities were cooperating, and they'd go in and they would detain people. Sometimes they'd have to deport them, and whatever the case may be. But the exact same thing happened then that's happening now. It is, and yet we did not have people showing up en masse to protest enforcing the law back then. It's just the law is controversial now. And I would credit that to a couple of things. One of which is I've talked about it over and over again. I warned you as we were getting close to Donald Trump becoming the president again. And I think it became pretty clear once cackling Kamala, her poor campaign was just faltering. I thought, hey, I think Trump's got a real chance at this. And then as I looked over the horizon, I thought, okay, there's going to be a dynamic here. It's going to be really hard for people. And I feel like I felt like I was sort of the lone guy, and not that I'm this visionary. It was just anticipating what life in America would be like with a conniption-prone left once Donald Trump becomes the president again. And I thought, I know what's going to happen, that enforcing the law is going to feel like authoritarianism after you've been ignoring the law for an extended period of time. You're not used to it. And that's the problem with becoming lax about the law, is people become used to that. And then they're like, well, we can't live this way. We can't have laws being enforced. They're more like suggestions. That's what we thought they were. We didn't know you were actually going to enforce the law. What are you doing? Like, well, that's what a law is. It's a law. It's not a suggestion. So I'm officially tired of the mayhem and the conniption. I'm also a little tired. The whole thing makes me tired, quite honestly, but I guess I'm disappointed. I sound like a dad talking to an errant teenager. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. But I am a little disappointed because I like to think here in Idaho we've got good, commonsensical people that understand this stuff, that if you took 5 minutes and explained it to them and just said, look, let's talk about this immigration thing. If we had just been enforcing it all along, we wouldn't be in this situation. Secondly, we are not a sanctuary state, so we haven't spent years bringing them here, inviting them here, being a magnet for illegal immigration. And the third thing is, if there is illegal immigration, our local authorities are pretty good about cooperating with ICE. So you don't have these public, raids that go on the way you do in other cities. They'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. But no, you still have people showing up on the Broadway Bridge, a few dozen of them. We also had the statement that was put out by the tribal, the Shoshone-Bannock Tribe, saying just make sure you have your license and your papers and maybe a passport if you have it. And, however, you got to dig into the story a little bit to realize there hasn't been a single instance of ICE looking for illegals on the reservation. It isn't happen. It's like this anticipatory thing that's not happening. And you might remember, and I made this analogy earlier. Well, first of all, I will say that's not how ICE operates. They don't just go out into the communities and say, okay, I'm looking for people who aren't white. Then I'm going to harass them. And I'm going to find out if they're illegal. That's not how they work. They operate off information. I think they prioritize people who've committed crimes beyond just coming here illegally. They're finding people who are committing violent crimes, property crimes, crimes that harm other people directly. And that's what they've been prioritizing. So I guess I'm disappointed in that because it's not really a thing. But the second point that I wanted to make with that is you remember the porn in libraries situation. You remember the fairness in women's sports, transgender athletes playing men in other words, playing against women. And people against it said, it's not happening. You can't find examples of this. It's a made-up phenomenon. Okay, well, here we truly have them admitting, well, we don't have any examples here of ICE coming onto the reservation, but just to be safe, you need to do this. Well, there's no reason to believe that's even going to happen or that it's about to happen. And so the reason why I'm not a big fan of statements like this is you're creating all sorts of anxiety in people about something that's not even about to happen. You know, it's interesting, and this is, we don't agree with Senator Kevin Cook on everything, but he kind of, when this whole porn in libraries thing was starting, he was inclined to believe sort of what the mainstream narrative was, which was, this is a made-up deal. It's not even happening. And then he thought, you know what? I'm just going to go to the library, and I'll look for myself. And he went, and guess what he found? Porn in libraries. And he's like, in that moment, I changed my thinking on this. And he became an advocate for that because it really was happening. Kudos to him for that. And I appreciate, number one, the effort to go and find out and not just listen to the chatter, but to go and actually find out. And then number two, to do something about it. So you have that. Yes, still people who hate that, which we're not going to argue that particular issue today. But same kind of thing with the trans issue. So anyway, here we go. We also, really quick before I take a break, I saw this story. Of course, the legislative session is underway. We're about a week in now. And already the Democrats are leading out with the argument that you're not taxed enough. Lauren Nekachia interviewed with Local News 8, and she said Idaho Democrats are very concerned about what we're seeing happen with the budget and the expressed priorities. There's a big hole in our budget because of deep revenue cuts that were made last year. And instead of, patching those holes, it seems that the Republican supermajority seems to want to roll ahead with a budget that cuts critical services. And then she cited $450 million of permanent revenue cuts passed in 2025 by the Republican supermajority. This includes a $50 million voucher scheme. I love how they've focus tested these words that have a dun connotation. Let's see, if we compare voucher and scheme, then I hate to tell you this, it's already passed. This is like complaining. This is like acting like you can change the outcome of the Super Bowl that was held last week. Voucher scheme that's going to send dollars out the door with zero accountability to subsidize tuition at private, religious, and for-profit schools, Nekachia said. At the same time that we have a $100 million funding gap for special education in your local neighborhood school. They're just, you know what they are? They are focus group term word generator. That's what the left does. Local neighborhood schools or voucher scheme. And I'm like, not everything is a movie trailer, Lauren. Okay? Then she says, so it's just not affordable. Let me just translate for you. You're not being taxed enough. It's not a spending issue. It's not a waste issue. It's not a frugality issue. You, my dear fellow Idaho taxpayer, aren't enough of a taxpayer. You need to pull out your wallet and you need to pony up. Doesn't matter if everything feels more expensive. You need to pay more. I don't know if that's going to go so well. I really don't. All right, it's 8:22 on News Talk 1079. If you'd like to join the program, 208-542-1079 is the number to call. We'll be back.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do you do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
$8:27 on News Talk 1079. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason. On a Monday, and if you'd like to reach us, the number to call, 208-542-1079. And, if you would like to talk about school voucher schemes, you can. We're here to talk about school voucher schemes. Or, you know what? Special ed and our local neighborhood schools. We could talk about those if you'd like. We're here to talk about our local neighborhood schools, too.
Ooh.
Anyway, I swear they focus tested the words, Julie. Like, those aren't authentic words.
No. And here's the deal. What I would say to Lauren, if we were having a very calm conversation, we've interviewed her before, and I think we would be having a calm conversation. But I would say, first off, we have to come to an agreement. Is there a need for something additional beyond and above public education? I would say yes. She would probably say no. So I would say, okay, then let's look at how I can solve my problem but keep you happy. And she would say, okay, so let's talk about it. And I would say, all right, I'll take $50 million from the school budget. No. Okay, then we'll do a tax credit. No. There is no solution for them.
Yep.
They're driven by the teachers' unions. They want public education to have a monopoly and there not to be another option for parents, even though half the United States, well, more, 2/3 of the United States have already adopted something similar to a school voucher system or to a tax credit. Or we asked these questions of Chris Cargill on Thursday. He explained all of that to us. So really what Lauren's basic argument here is, no matter what you say, I'm going to say no to it.
Yeah.
Schools get it all. And we're gonna tax you more so that schools have more money, even in a year where we have a budget shortfall.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, they're going to, which is so weird because this is actually a good expenditure of taxpayer dollars. Mm-hmm. I would say it will save the state money to offer these tax credits because you take the expense of educating those children off the table. That's actually more dollars within K through 12 per child. Now, it's with the funding formula, it's not allocated like that, but you're not subtracting a dime from K through 12, even though you're subtracting children from K through 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
I mean, one of the questions to ask about that is, okay, if we don't change the funding at all for public schools and you do have this allocation per student, so yes, you think that's going to go down, but the overall budget of the schools didn't go down. So can't we just beef up other areas where you get pay instead of per student? Getting the money is getting the money.
Yeah, right. But no, it's a voucher scheme. I need to deepen my voice. Beware the voucher scheme.
In 2026.
2026 voucher scheme.
A deadly law was put into motion.
Implementing
on January 15th.
A voucher scheme. Not $1 more. Rah, rah, rah. Okay. You know what's interesting, though? This idea, I mean, I remember, and we won't say any names, but you had a regular MC of the Panic Tour insisting that governing people's language. It's like, we're going to call it a voucher, even though it's not technically a voucher. We're still calling it a voucher because we need the emotional impact of calling it a voucher. So that's what we're going to call it. Well, first of all, that's what you do when your arguments aren't real solid. You have to malign the reputation of the whole thing by calling it something it's not.
Half-truths.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, we're about to find out 4 days away now. On Friday, those are the oral arguments before the Idaho Supreme Court. I get the feeling they know they're going to get skunked on this. I think they feel like, and you know what, normally I pride myself on catching a lot of things, not a cold or pneumonia, but things that are happening in the news cycle.
Diseases.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I need to go get a cream for that.
What are you doing in your personal life over there, Neal?
No, but Chris Cargill, when we interviewed him, he said that the timing on this is really suspect. That this lawsuit is so flimsy. It is so weak. They could have filed it months and months earlier. And he seems to think there's a possibility that they might have filed it for it to coincide with the oral arguments, the Idaho Supreme Court case, around the same time that they open up the enrollment. And by the way, I'm friends with Chris on Facebook, so I saw he posted 3,300 families applied within the first 48 hours of this thing.
Okay, you don't think that this was wanted in Idaho?
They know it is. It's in huge demand.
Wow. Okay.
But it says right there in the Constitution, don't give the people what they want. We'll do it our way. Even if they want a voucher scheme, don't give it to them. Anyway, so I thought, okay, this program, and this isn't even considering the $7,500 grants for the special needs students that apply. If you just went with the $5,000 per, it can only accommodate 10,000 kids. So if you had 3,300 applications, in 48 hours, a third of capacity applied to get these grants. It's in big demand. They know it's going to be popular.
Right. Look, we want it. We've advocated for it. It passed. It became a law. The governor says he's not cutting it. We have a text asking, are they cutting launch? No, the governor says he asked that launch not be cut either. This is the governor's wish list, obviously. So the governor is saying, hey, please don't cut this, and please don't cut the launch program. We can find other budgets to slim down. So for those who are just adamantly opposed, and by the way, there's some Republicans who are.
Oh, yeah.
But those who are adamantly opposed, I asked them to answer the question, why aren't you doing what the people are wishing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope, I'm sure Erin Bingham will come on with us, right?
I think so. Yeah.
We'll reach out. We wanted her to get kind of settled into her.
She's got to get her feet wet and everything in place.
Of course, she's who the governor appointed to fill Wendy Horman's the people's vacant seat that was occupied by Wendy Horman. We're going to have language Nazis out there getting after me if I call it Wendy Horman's seat.
Probably.
It's not her seat. It's the people's seat.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. Okay, so I apologize if I said it was Wendy Horman's seat. Okay, so the people's seat occupied by Wendy Horman, now vacant, replaced by Erin Bingham. So we'll get Erin.
I would also tell those people we'll probably call it Erin Bingham's seat from here on out, too.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like we just
we'll warn you.
Coronated Wendy Horman with that title and no one else.
It's not Erin Bingham's seat. It's the people's seat. Okay.
It's not Dave Lent's seat. It's not Kevin Cook's seat.
Where were we?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyway, I want to ask her this question because we now have multiple legitimate polling that shows Idahoans consistently, 2/3 of them want the school choice.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the question I would ask Lauren. She's going to say, well, I I am a representative for those who don't want it because I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
But I would ask those Republicans who are opposed to it, who are you a representative of?
Well, you're right. You have to ask, especially, and I think the Idaho Supreme Court, I mean, I don't set their schedule, at least not anymore. And, but
I had to trim the fat too.
Right, I know. We've all had to change a few things around here. But if they issue their decision that this is constitutional, then every single one of those Republicans who had misgivings about the constitutionality of House Bill 93, that issue is now said and done. You can no longer be outraged over the constitutionality of it.
You're going to have to find a new argument.
Or just say, I was wrong, and now I support House Bill 93.
Oh, why does cynical Julie not believe that will happen?
Because Neal's acting like a Pollyanna right now, and I know it's not going to happen. But I want to hold their feet to the fire and say, if your argument was it's unconstitutional, but the people we hire and put in place to make those determinations deem otherwise, then if you have integrity, you will be on board then with House Bill 93. If that was your own. Now, they'll say, well, accountability. It doesn't have enough accountability. Okay, well, that's probably what they'll shift to.
Right.
Because they will have lost the unconstitutionality argument. They've already lost the Blaine Amendment argument. And then they'll just shift to, well, we just think it needs more accountability. Then I would say, don't work to repeal it then. Work to add some accountability measures if you can. But this is something that people want. I do think that lawmakers will oppose school choice at their own peril. Yeah. Politically.
I don't know if that's, at this point, the law is passed. I don't know why you keep doing it.
Yeah.
Look, if you're squishy enough to be getting money from the teachers union, they're going to keep giving it to you.
Yeah.
They have handpicked their squishies. So this is not, it's already a law. You have the ability to look at the teachers union and say, I'm not fighting against it. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
But they will. I think they will keep opposing it.
And I will say, a lot of what the IAA does has a squish factor to it. I will not disagree with you on that, Julie.
You're a bad man.
Okay, we're going to take a break. It's 8:40 now. News Talk 1079. It's a Monday edition of the Neal Larson Show. If you'd like to reach us, 208-542-1079. Back after this. Oops. Welcome back. It's 8:46 on News Talk 1079, a Monday. And by the way, if you were one of the 3,300, it's probably more now, but 3,300 that applied for the what did we call it? Oh, the voucher scheme. If you applied for the voucher scheme, we'd love to hear how your experience was. 208-542-1079.
I actually would really like to hear that because the website looked super friendly.
Yeah, it did look super friendly, and I think pretty easy to go through, and so we'll see. But one last question on this, and Julie, as you know, this has become a pretty passionate issue for you and me, and I think part of the reason why it's passionate is because I'm a little surprised at the opposition to it.
It is a little shocking, even by people. Okay, I actually understand the opposition from those in the public education system. Yeah, they want the maximum amount that they can get, and they don't want to feel any damage or any pressure or any stress that they don't already feel. Yeah, and I think it's a stressful occupation. So, okay, I'll accept that argument from them. I'll take it. Like, they're the ones having to do it, so I'm there. What I don't understand the opposition is everyday East Idahoans who have friends, who have neighbors, who have relatives, their cousin's kid or whatever, might really struggle with the public education system. And you can't think there might be a better way for this kid? That's the people I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand that either. Part of me, and I'll go back to what you said, And I think it's you want to sort of empathize with those who may feel threatened by this. But I think I would follow that up with this question and keep in mind there's a part of me that can be completely unemotional about stuff like this.
I think both of us do that.
Yeah, I do too.
It's aggravating to people too. Have you recognized that?
It is. They want us to eat at their pity trough.
Right.
And we don't. Like I look at it and I've never been a fan of the taste of pity, so I don't eat at that trough very often.
I tried to add salt and paprika.
Right.
It didn't do anything.
So I guess my question would be to them, point on the dolly where House Bill 93 hurts you, because K through 12's not losing a dime. You're going to be, collectively at least, educating the same number of kids fewer kids with the same amount of dollars. If you owned a burger joint and I came to you and I said, hey, you're going to earn just as much revenue this month as you did last month, but you won't be feeding as many people. You'd be thrilled. You'd be like, oh, that's great.
Easier workload, same amount of revenue.
It eases the burden. And some of these kids may be the kids that struggle in K through 12, which typically require more attention than the average kid. And so they're finding a different path, which they have every right to do. But, I guess, how are you harmed by it? And if I were a judge and I'm examining a civil case and you're the plaintiff, I would say, well, you have to prove damages here. You have to prove to me how you were harmed by this. And I'm trying to figure out what public school teacher is harmed by it. What public school kid who stays in public school is harmed by it. Who's getting harmed? I don't know who's getting harmed by this. And somebody could call in and make some esoteric point. I'm not talking about esoteric points. I'm talking about what is the real actual harm to someone.
I don't have a harm that way. I don't think that they can list that, which is why they went with the unconstitutionality argument for part of it. I just don't think that they have a way to show that they were harmed by this tax credit being created. However, there is a part that they don't like to say out loud. And I don't think it's recognized as harm by the court system, but it's recognized as harm by the public education system, which is they actually do believe that only the good kids are going to leave. So that makes it harder for them because they're left without the kids. If you were to look at a classroom of kids, you're hoping it's an inverted triangle. You're hoping that the widest part of the triangle at the top is those that are above 70% in the learning capacity. And then as it narrows, you only have this little tip of the iceberg underneath the water.
Yeah.
That is below learning level.
Yeah.
If you remove some of the higher level kids who are not as behaviorally challenged and who seem to do better on their schoolwork, it's harder for them to keep the top part of the triangle wide.
Okay, so, and not only that, I remember back when Common Core was being implemented, we proactively kept our kids home on test day because we didn't want the data collection. We didn't like how they were doing the testing. Well, the schools did everything they could to be sneaky about the testing because my kids tested high, and they want those high test scores to bring the averages up. And I think that might be another issue here is that if you take the high performing kids out of the system, then that's another dent downward for their test scores, and that's another thing. But I would say, hands off my kid. They're not there to help your test scores out. Like, that's not what my kid is there for.
They're not, but you're battling a subgroup of people, not the entire public education system, but a subgroup of the education system believes they should be in between you and their child.
Yeah.
It should go child, teacher, parent.
Yeah. I remember there was, back when I was writing newspaper columns, long time, there was another columnist, super liberal, former college professor, and he wanted to label homeschooling as educational abuse and make it illegal. That parents could not homeschool their kids because every kid has a right to a government education. And if you take that from them, then that's a form of abuse against them. And I thought that, to me, that was an accelerant as a columnist to say, this is what you have to battle. This is the cultural, the mindset that you have to battle. I also think that there is a cultural thing they don't want to deal with. You have to keep something in mind. You were never supposed to believe that you had an alternative outside the public education sphere. You're not supposed to think that unless you're filthy rich, unless you got a lot of wealth and you can pay for it yourself. You're not supposed to think that there are alternatives to K through 12 or charter schools or some government-funded school. And I think that's maybe what they don't like the most, is they feel like it's a threat to this monoculture of, no, if you are middle class or lower, you will go to a government school.
Yeah.
So.
And I need to remind everybody, the parameters of this gives first priority to those with lesser income.
Yeah, right.
So they built it to not, quote unquote, target the rich kids.
Yeah. Rich kids are at the last of the line, and if there are enough slots. So, all right, it's 8:55. Got a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour coming up on News Talk 107.9. All right, it's 8:58 on News Talk 107.9. If you'd like to reach us via text or via phone, 208-542-1079. We got this interesting text from someone. Are you sure there are not a lot of the ed rebate applications who want to just overwhelm the funds and the system to sabotage those legitimate applicants and just gum up the system? We'll comment on that in the next hour right here on News Talk 107.9. All right, welcome back. It's 9:07 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason, and it is a Monday. We welcome you to the program, and we invite your phone calls and your texts if you'd like to be a part of the show today, 208-542-1079. Just prior to the end of the last hour, we received this text about applications for the education tax credit. Are you sure there are not a lot of the ed rebate applications who want to just overwhelm the funds and system to sabotage those legitimate applicants? Unions can act that way to gum up the process, trying to make it fail. Well, I suppose there's some of that. However, they have to be careful, because I think when you click to apply, you're saying that this is true and it's accurate. So if you're just trying to gum up the system, you're probably creating some kind of legal liability for yourself if you don't intend on using it for its stated purpose. And I'm sure there's some ambient level of that, people who hate it that are going on just trying to create that. But usually you see sort of an orchestrated effort, like messages go out, emails, or, texts go out saying, hey, apply for this, but don't intend on using it, whatever, just to make it hard. So I don't think that's probably a big part of the 3,300 that applied.
I would also think that there's a potential backfire there that would stop them from doing that in mass amounts, which is it will make it look like it's a really desirable program.
Yeah.
So now, can they make bad decisions like that? Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I don't expect there to be a lot of it going on with the application process.
So the Democrats wrote a letter on their legislative letterhead, Melissa Wintrow and Representative Ilana Rubel, and they addressed it to Jeff McCrae. He's the chairman of the Idaho State Tax Commission, and they dated it January 16th. Okay, so this is right when they opened it. It was Friday, the day that it became available. They've had almost a year to be able to write this letter, 10 months. No, they wait till the very day. They say, Dear Chairman McCrae, we respectfully request that the Idaho State Tax Commission pause all advance payments related to the Idaho Parental Tax Choice Tax Credit Program until sufficient oversight measures are in place to prevent the misuse of public funds. as you are aware, House Bill 93 authorizes refundable tax credits of up to $5,000 per student and up to $7,500 for special needs students, and authorizes advance payments of public money before any proof of qualified educational expenses are provided. These payments may be used for private school tuition, tutoring, testing, transportation, and curricula, with the program capped at $50 million per year and administered solely by your agency. While we recognize the intent behind House Bill 93 to give parents more educational choices, the lack of upfront accountability mechanisms, particularly regarding advance payments, opens the door to fraud and abuse. Unfortunately, we've seen what happens when states launch similar programs without adequate oversight. In Arizona, voucher funds were used to buy kayaks, ski passes, SeaWorld tickets, and over $1 million in Lego sets. Parents also attempted cash withdrawals and spent hundreds of thousands on beauty supplies and apparel. In Florida, a single private school was caught defrauding the system with ghost students, costing taxpayers over $1.3 million. In Milwaukee, a school created over 200 fraudulent enrollments and used the proceeds to buy Mercedes-Benzes for administrators.
Look, do I think that this could happen with some of these voucher programs? Sure. People find a way to commit fraud.
Yeah.
This is not a voucher system.
Exactly. It's not. So I went to my research team. I said, what measures are in place to make sure the HB 93 tax credit in Idaho will go to allowed education expenses? Join a list. Number 1, the law limits the tax credit to specified types of education-related costs. Not any purchase a parent wants to claim. Tuition, or not just any purchase. Tuition and fees for non-public schools that meet core subject requirements. A base curriculum including English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies at a minimum. Textbooks and learning materials directly tied to those subjects. Tutoring, transportation, and certain exams. Homeschool instruction is not automatically qualified unless it meets academic criteria and documentation requirements. Non-qualifying expenses include extracurricular activities, dual credit college courses, electronic devices, vehicles, vacations, etc. Number 2, documentation and receipts are required. To claim the credit, taxpayers must submit receipts or other proof of payment for the qualified educational expenses when applying through the Idaho State Tax Commission system. Applications ask for verification and documentation of the expense. Advance payment applicants must estimate future allowable expenses and keep receipts for later validation. This requirement creates a basic paper trail to link credits to documented educational spending. 3, oversight by the Idaho State Tax Commission. The Idaho State Tax Commission is responsible for administering the program, including determining whether a taxpayer's claim qualifies under the law, verifying that expenses meet statutory definitions, potentially auditing expense documentation or claims. Administering and auditing helps enforce compliance by reviewing whether claimed expenses meet the criteria. And then finally, there's more than that, but accreditation and portfolio evidence requirements for some schools, reporting requirements from the tax commission, and then, of course, the limits and the oversight. So
to kind of explain how part of this is going to work is the schools are going to have to apply to be able to be a place where a private school is going to have to apply.
Yeah.
So you can't just make up a private school. Yeah, Neal's Leering Center.
Yes.
That you're going to have to show that this school is existing and it will have to be accredited.
I learned how to spell there. So anyway, go ahead.
You done did good.
I done did real good. Yes.
Okay, so that's that part. Now, there is an advanced tax credit. So it's just going to be a line item on your taxes, and you're going to say, I qualified via this to get the $5,000, blah, 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 and they're going to give you the tax credit. But then your return is going to have to be audited later, and you're going to have to provide those receipts showing, hey, in advance, we gave you this tax credit. Now you've used the money. Show us what you used it on.
Yeah.
The good thing about it going through the tax collection system is from that point forward, they can garnish your wages if you don't pay it back. If you have fraudulently used that tax credit, they will make sure that you pay that tax credit back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
There's already a governing body that does this kind of thing.
Right. And I mean, could there be fraud? Sure, but there can be fraud in anything. I also find it interesting, and there we had people making really good points on this post, that where was the Democrat letterhead when the Department of Health and Welfare was passing out child care grants to establishments that weren't using them correctly. And Attorney General Labrador tried to get more records to make sure there wasn't fraud, and they threw everything in their way. Like, these are not... The problem that I have is if you're not consistent, you don't get to just come to the moral outrage table when it works for you.
Yeah, be serious people.
Yes.
And I believe one of the reasons that it was late, you said they wrote the letter on January 16th. I believe one of the reasons it's late is it's a last-ditch effort. I think they all know that this law is going to carry forward.
Yeah.
If they thought that they could actually force what this letter is requesting, they would have written a letter weeks ago. You
know what? I would have to get clarification. I don't know if the tax commission could legally not do it.
Oh, that's a valid point. Yeah, good question to ask.
As long as the requirements of the law have been met, the tax commission can't say, we're going to arbitrarily raise the standard of what has to be proven here.
They have to be neutral in this.
Right. If the law as written, if the tax commission meets those requirements, they can't just say, well, the Democrats want more accountability here, so we're just going to require that and we're going to pause the program. I think the Democrats were asking the tax commission to do something they can't legally do.
Good point. Yeah, that would be a great question to ask. You know what we could do? Email Chris Cargill. He'll tell us.
Yeah, that's true.
He would.
That's true. And if in fact the tax commission wasn't ready to roll it out, somebody's head should roll.
They've had plenty of time.
To get this thing ready. So, yeah. Anyway, I mean, we have good legal minds out there.
Yeah.
So maybe we will email Chris Cargill. I just thought, you know what? Democrats have... No, you know what I think we need to do? We need to start creating like Babylon Bee campaign literature. Picture of Lauren Nekachia, Idaho Democrats, because you're just not taxed quite enough.
Yeah.
That should be their tagline.
Chatty G would help you.
Yeah.
He would put his resources to work.
That's true. Mm-hmm. But I asked it to make some jokes the other day. They were terrible. I don't think Chat has that great of a sense of humor with some stuff. So, yeah. You know, someone asked me that question on a phone call. They weren't fans of House Bill 93. And I said, well, you'll be guilty of tax evasion if you try to game the system, because it's a tax credit. And if you don't meet the requirements of the tax credit, or you fraudulently try to meet the requirements of the tax credit, you're going to be in big trouble. And I don't know that there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to risk that for a $5,000 tax credit. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't, you might try to claim it, but then if you don't provide the proof, then or if you provide fraudulent quote unquote proof, you're asking for trouble.
I have a question about the application. So if somebody who is listening has filled out the application, please text in and answer this question for me. When you fill out the application, do you have to indicate in what way you plan on using the $5,000 or the $7,500 tax credit? Do you have to identify if it is a private school or a home school? I would love to know that, because I think that's going to be an interesting data point on down the road versus who's applying for this, who's being granted the money, and then which way are they using it?
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good question. A very good question. Okay, Julie, someone asked, you and I had a little discussion over the news break about Greenland. Why is Trump trying to take over Greenland? Why is he trying to take it? Why doesn't he just see if he can lease it for 100 years for our use, for whatever needs to be done. Why is there a threat of we will come in and take it from you? I don't understand why he's doing that. Would you talk about that? Maybe I missed that in the news. So,
well, I don't know what news they're listening to, but I would say the option for doing some sort of coordinated, quote unquote, leasing of the land is, I'm sure, on the table.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is a only one solution concept with Greenland.
Yeah.
I don't think it is going to become a full extension of the United States. I don't ever expect that to happen.
Yeah.
I do expect that there will come some sort of a deal between Denmark, maybe a couple of other European nations, and then America, and we're going to work on something jointly.
So I will go back, and I want to say this in the least condescending way possible. But I think this question reveals someone who doesn't really understand Trump and the way Trump operates. Because it's very, very likely that Trump knows in the end that's exactly what's going to happen. We will lease Greenland for 100 years or 150 years. But that's not your opening pitch. You go in saying we want to own Greenland and, we don't want to take it by force, but we're never going to tell you what we won't do. And it absolutely cannot fall in the hands of Russia or China. And guess what? If every month that goes by, we're going to increase the tariff pressure on you until we have this. Okay. Now, the end game, Trump knows this. He knows, but you never state it publicly. So it's kind of like, and I use the, car buying analogy. If you're buying a car, you go in and offer the lowest freaking price that you can possibly offer because you want to gauge where they're at and how willing are they to come down. So when I see a text like this, I understand why people are asking the question. But before you get too concerned, get a fundamental understanding of how Trump operates. His opening pitch is always outrageous. Always. On so many things. Remember North Korea in his first term? The likes of which, fire and fury. I remember that. Everybody thought we were on the cusp
nuclear
of
war.
World War III, Well, that's Trump. Trump is setting the table here for a negotiation with an outcome favorable to the United States. Of course, he's not going to launch a nuclear attack on North Korea unless they start it. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way with Greenland. Let it hang out there that maybe he will use military force to take it, or really strong, devastating tariff pressure to take it. In the end, he just wants to warm up Denmark and Greenland as much as possible so they'll enter into a long-term agreement that's favorable to the United States.
I saw some interesting legal analysis of what Trump is doing with this. And this person was saying, watch very carefully for the wording that the Trump administration is using about Greenland. They're continuing with a concept that we are in danger if we don't work some sort of a deal and have a presence on Greenland. They're making it an emergent type situation. That is important for the way that his legal capabilities line up. There is precedent for, in an emergency situation, for the executive branch to do things that will force a working deal between Denmark and maybe a couple of European nations and the United States, because it was a quote unquote emergency.
Yeah.
So, watch for that, because I can totally see what this analyst is saying is they use the judicial branch to challenge absolutely everything that Trump does.
Yeah.
So they've got to line it out appropriately versus the powers that the executive branch has. And if they make sure that there's an understanding that this is an emergency, it's been something we've been looking at for years and years and years, which, by the way, it has been.
Yeah.
Then they're like, we've gone to a point where Russia has made advances that we're going to have to intercede, or else we're going to be in danger.
Yeah, you delayed too long. And I mean, we know Biden was never going to be my belief, because this is now such a bright blip on the radar screen, our intelligence, our military intelligence is probably telling us that China and Russia are about to do something in that region that might be really hard to reverse. And so now's the time we got to establish some kind of presence on Greenland. I did see a story that the price tag for Greenland would be something like $700 billion. Like if we just wanted to outright buy it and make it part of our country. And I'm like, I mean, the mind cannot wrap itself around how much
$700 billion
money that is. I mean, and after we picked up Alaska for $7 million, that's 100.
What kind of negotiators are we?
That's a factor of 100,000 different. Like Greenland would be 100,000 times more expensive than and I would say, Alaska is much more beautiful than Greenland.
Greenland, yeah.
No offense to the Greenlanders, but have you been to Alaska?
It is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
I sent Neal a meme yesterday, which was basically a whole bunch of Danish people building a wall between them and Russia, and they're using the little blue tins of butter cookies to build the wall.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's funny, but there's reality there.
Yeah.
They got nothing. They won't even be able to. I mean, there's zero threat at this point. Zero threat. Which means that's who's protecting those 57,000 people on Greenland.
I'd feel very vulnerable.
Right? And
now.
so, again, that emergency thing, if they can show that Russia is creating some sort of a threat, Trump has executive powers to step in here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you know what? Maybe that's part of a strategy, too, that Trump's rhetoric might be designed as a provocation to China and Russia, just to get them to step over the line a little bit, which then the rules change at that point. Mm-hmm. So I want to play this is Mark Carney. Is he the Prime Minister of Canada?
Yes, yeah.
And just listen.
I'd like to know what Canada is doing to protect the integrity of Greenland. And related, China fashions itself a near Arctic power and with some claims to Arctic resources. So I wonder if you could answer that question, what we're doing to help protect Greenland's integrity, and how do you feel about China's claims, such as they are, to Arctic resources?
Well, to several aspects of that. The first, with respect to Greenland, the future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for the Kingdom of Denmark. We are NATO partners with Denmark, and so our full partnership stands. Our obligations on Article 5, Article 2 of NATO stand, and we stand full square behind them.
Okay. Is there a nice way to say this?
Go ahead.
How long would that war last?
2 hours and 10 minutes.
Something like that. I'd give it 2.5 hours. Just being generous.
I'm sorry, I was being harsh.
Right. Like, what? What?
If I'm looking for anybody to show a little grit and brute and muscle, it's not Canada.
It's not Canada. Canada, we love you.
Thanks for salt and vinegar potato chips, but
we love you. But we're not counting on you to be...
Show up with your pretty little prancing horses.
The strong defense here that would need to be had. That's not their strength. Like
it's not.
I kind of feel bad because he's sort of put this pressure on Canada that they could never possibly fulfill. And so...
And we love our friends from Canada.
Yeah, we do.
But you know it's true.
Oh, yeah. You definitely know it's true. Probably an hour and 45 minutes. Like, I think we have to revise
210 was too much?
Maybe so. I mean, you can't be too generous. So, I saw a comment. There's the 10-year war. This would be a 10-minute war. All right. We're going to take a quick break. 208-542-1079. It's Monday. And we'd love to hear from you. We'll be back. Hello, Facebook Live.
Hi, Facebook. How was your weekend? There was some really great NFL football this weekend.
Yeah.
2 overtime games. Heartbreaker with Denver because they did win, but their quarterback is out. Broke a bone in his ankle on the second to last play in overtime.
That's not good.
Yeah. Lots of people sad for Josh Allen when the Broncos beat the Bills. It's the Bills. And the team I would have loved to have seen gone all the way, San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
They lost.
Shoot.
They kind of got pummeled.
How did Seattle do?
Very well.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle's kind of emerging as the team, right?
Yeah.
Like that people.
It's not who I want, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then big game tonight, college championship.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. I saw the look.
I'm like, Monday Night Football? Who's on the big game?
The Bees are playing the Knights?
Yeah. No, we were talking about NFL. I just thought it was a Monday Night Football. Who's going to win it?
Lots of people are saying Indiana. I don't know. We'll see.
Miami is 13-2. Indiana's 15-0. So
their quarterback won the Heisman.
They'll probably win it then.
He's kind of a crowd favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be on ESPN. Maybe I'll try to catch a little bit of that. The last college football I watched was part of Montana State winning the national championship.
I haven't watched much college football.
FCS. Yeah.
Tell them about the heartbreaker on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. The first quarter of the game. Nothing fell our way Saturday afternoon against Eastern Washington. They were in town to play the Bengals. But you know what's interesting? So 2-3 years ago, we had a player named Kyrie Huey. Super good guy. He's one of these players that he's got an NBA body. Like you just look at him. And but it's just not all the fundamentals are quite there. Anyway, he left ISU.
Transfer portal,
went to Miami, made big bucks at Miami, got tired of not playing at Miami, re-entered the transfer portal, and popped up at Eastern Washington. So Kyrie Huey
was
back at Reed Gym playing against us this time and had an okay game. He starts for him, but anyway, I would imagine if you've been at Miami and you've spent a couple of years there and you've made like a small fortune while you're there, you'd be like, I'm going to go play some basketball my last year. I want to. And also, he had beefed up, like
even bigger
muscle beef, like broad shoulders. He looked good.
I hope he's getting a 4-year degree.
Yeah,
I hope he's been able to complete that.
Yeah, I hope so too for him. Nice guy, though. Really. In fact, after the game, he went up and talked to so many people that he had known. So, all right, 9:35 on News Talk 107.9 208-542-1079 is the number if you'd like to reach us on the program this morning. Julie, we've got a bunch of interesting stories about
Minnesota. About what are you? Where are you headed?
I'm like out and about. Like not. Sorry, I knew as I was saying, I'm like, this isn't going to make any sense. But yeah, we've got. We played the Mark Carney clip. Mike Rowe again. He said, you know what? We used to tell kids learn to code, and now AI is coming for all those jobs, and it is. It's gonna take over that industry in a big way. We'll still need computer programmers, but it's changing the landscape.
You're just diminishing the amount of jobs available.
Right. So he's saying the one thing you can always count on is learn the trades, become an electrician, become a plumber, become,
HVAC,
a welder, whatever it is. And he's not wrong. I do think eventually, I think it's years away, but I think eventually AI and robotics will probably start to take some of those jobs. Not all, but some of them. I think it's still the safest route to take if you want a job that's going to last a while and not get taken over.
There will still be companies, though. And if you get the trade skill now and then you own your own company and then you're welcoming the technology and figuring it out, there's still a bright future for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that. So Anyway, that was a cool clip. Also, Ted Cruz. So I like Ted Cruz, but I think I want to play this clip. I want to get your take on this of what Ted Cruz says could be coming in terms of foreign affairs.
Well, Maria, I have to say we are living in extraordinary times. The change that is occurring across the globe exceeds anything we have seen in decades. There is a very real possibility that in the next 6 months, the regimes in Iran, in Venezuela, and Cuba will all fall. There is a real possibility that Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba will all democratically elect new leaders, and instead of fomenting violence, fomenting attacks on America, instead of waging war on America, there is a real chance in the next 6 months that the people of those three countries will elect leaders who embrace freedom and free enterprise and who want to stand with America. And I got to say, if that happens, it is difficult to think of anything more consequential. You have to go back to the fall of the Berlin Wall and to America winning the Cold War without firing a shot to find a time as pivotal as where we are right now. If you look at
Okay, the regimes of Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran 6 months from now may all be replaced. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think that this is very possible. In general, the capture and removal of the fake President Maduro from Venezuela was warmly received.
Yeah.
Now, is it fixed? No. But it's warmly received.
It's a step one.
It's a step one. And I think if there's a continued push by Marco Rubio and others involved, Venezuela is going to become the poster child for this too can be possible for you. And there will be more internal push from the people to change and to get rid of the regimes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think about this, and it is interesting because we're limited in what we can do to replace a head of state, right? But in Venezuela's case, they made it easy. He's a fake president. He wasn't really
He's
a
also
president.
a criminal.
Right. And yeah, you pair that with the fact that he was a drug criminal and had committed crimes against the United States. It was a no-brainer to go get him and extradite him and bring him back to the United States. So that one, step one. But now Venezuela, hopefully with our help and guidance, they can put a democracy-loving leader in power. I'm hopeful that will happen. In terms of Iran, the approach is different. And I think that we want to do things to encourage the people to rise up against their corrupt regime and oust them that way. The Ayatollah has acknowledged they've killed 3,700 people, almost 4,000. It's probably a lot more than that. That's all that he's acknowledging right now.
There's actually a report out saying there's other deaths, and they've recorded other deaths, but they can't prove how the deaths happened, so they're not going to blame him.
Oh, they're just in lines in body bags.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
How's that wording?
So I think that that's a legitimate thing to do, to encourage a country to rise up against their corrupt and evil leaders. I think you'll have libertarians that hate it because for some reason it helps them to think that our country, I don't know what drives them, actually. I was going to formulate a theory, but I don't know why they are in love with other foreign corrupt leaders staying in power.
Yeah. Anything that Trump touches is going to be a horrible thing for a group of people, and that's just the way it is. I wish I could have an understanding of the Iranian people. I think you and I can actually get the Venezuelan people, that they were forced to live under this tyranny, but that they have had a desire and that they're incredibly grateful and thankful for what the President Trump administration has done and the Department of War has done for them. I don't know how to even understand an Iranian, because there's this weird desire, even in some of the everyday citizens of Iranians, to support these evil regimes because they just switch from one evil regime to the next.
Yeah.
it's just a different country. They're just different people.
You know, Iran is so sad. That story is so sad. If you go back and you look at video and photographic footage of Iran up until the late 70s, it was a modern life. People had cars.
Thriving.
Women were going to college and they were working in the workplace. They didn't have to be in a burqa. They didn't. And then you had the Iranian Revolution come in and everything switched almost overnight. And they have lived in that tyranny ever since. But I think there's still some, I wouldn't say institutional memory, but there's some cultural memory there. I think they want their freedom back. And every so often you see the people rise up. I would love it if this was that time.
This was successful.
People are going to die because freedom, triumphing over tyranny always costs blood. And that's sad, but I'm hopeful it's going to be strong enough now to make it happen. I think it's very telling that Iran had to shut down the internet, jam the internet, do everything they can to not allow people to communicate with each other and with the outside world. But I think maybe Trump is like, we're going to do everything that we can to support the Iranian people to take back their country. And I hope we do see that. I hope we do see a regime fall in Iran very, very soon. Not just for the people's freedom, but because they have just been a constant stated threat to America. We're infidels. We should be annihilated. They're building a nuclear program. Trump took care of that a few months ago, but there's more work to do. And I hope that the people of Iran can get it done.
You can always hope. You said the phrase, the uprising against tyranny always costs blood.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is 100% true. And I think that those who insist upon calling Donald Trump a tyrannical leader should actually look where tyranny is in place.
Yeah.
And understand the vast differences and the way that your language is destroying a country, because Donald Trump is not ruling in tyranny.
No. Well, I think they know. You know, it's funny. We saw that contrast and that hypocrisy when we got Maduro and brought him here, because you had all the no kings people deadly silent. Like they're like, no kings, no kings, no kings. But tin horn dictators are okay.
But Maduro, he's a good dude.
Yeah, we'll tolerate Maduro. And it's the same thing. No kings, no kings, no kings. But tyrannical ayatollahs are okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hypocrites. All right. It's 9:44 now on News Talk 1079. Gonna break, but we'll come back and continue after this. Okay, let's do advanced windows when we come.
Somebody says there's a big survey in Oregon that's currently happening, asking if you live there, do you want to be a sanctuary city? I know nothing about this. Or a sanctuary state, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
I haven't heard of this
Grok
either.
will tell me. Let's ask.
Okay. Advanced window products. Do you have a Timberline?
He has not given me any.
Need to go.
I'll double check, but as far as I know, no schedule. Haven't gotten an email from Josh. Oh, yeah, I did. Not starting yet.
Okay.
Yep. But I do have 7 reads starting on the 21st. Okay, what is Grok saying?
About?
Says, no, there is no evidence of a formal survey or professional poll currently being conducted in Oregon specifically about becoming a sanctuary state. Oregon has been a sanctuary state since 1987. Sorry, I'm getting past things that we don't need to. A recent online reader poll, which is not a scientific survey from KVAL, a local CBS affiliate in Eugene, published around January 15th, asks, do you support Oregon's sanctuary laws? This is informal and a self-selecting web poll. So I think that's the one they're talking about, the KVAL.
Oh.
Oh, wait. Also, a January 2025 poll by Public Opinion Strategies that was commissioned by House Republicans shows 69% support for deporting undocumented immigrants convicted of crimes. This tied to efforts to modernize sanctuary laws. So there could be a couple of polls going on.
Okay. 9:49. Are your windows leaking air? Maybe discolored or warping, or you see condensation between your window panes? Well, it's time to replace it may be time, I should say, to replace those old windows, and that's where Advanced Window Products comes in. They're a top-rated replacement window company in Idaho because they build the windows, they install them, and then they guarantee them for life.
If you maybe bought a spec home, or your home is, 3 or 4 decades old, clearly it could potentially be a time to replace those windows. And Advanced Window Products has various types of windows, so you can upgrade to the highest level. They'll walk through all of that with you when they come out and do an evaluation of your home. It takes less than an hour. Usually, and they'll go through, they'll tell you what windows are good, what windows are not good. I also want to point out they have so many options about the trim colors around the windows, which is very important to the aesthetic. They're also built specific to your home. So you're not going to have these wide strips of color to fill in the gaps of where maybe the window you took out and the new window don't quite mesh together. That's not how this happens. It's pretty seamless.
Yeah, and they build those windows to within an eighth of an inch of tolerance. So they're very tight. Also, big savings when you buy multiple windows. You can save up to $2,500 when you purchase 10 windows or more. If it's fewer than that, they will prorate that as well. So give them a call today, 208-852-8685. That's 208-852-8685. Or you can go online to advancedwindows.com. Okay, Julie, we've got to take a quick break, but we'll come back. We'll wrap it up after this. And, of course, we'll be on Facebook, the post show. If you'd like to join us for that, you can text live to 208-542-1079. Back after this. Okay.
How cold is it right now?
24 degrees.
This is such a weird winter, you guys. It's so bizarre.
Okay.
I'm making a new meatloaf recipe tonight.
Yeah?
My daughter made it. She sent it to me, so I'm going to try it.
Good.
It has Parmesan cheese in it. What could go wrong with that?
That sounds good. Is it like
garlic, onion, Parmesan cheese, meat?
Is that in place of the breadcrumbs?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Keep the breadcrumbs.
The Parmesan just adds flavor.
Yeah, and gooiness.
I do like a good meat. Interesting that Matt McConaughey is protecting his likeness, trademarking his likeness.
All right, all right, all right. I can't do it.
All right, all right, all right, all right. I can't eat.
Adam says, Neal, I'm messaging you to meet up sometime when you are available this week or next. And then James says at his work, he's got contractors still installing sprinkler systems.
Wow. Wow.
In the middle of January.
Wow.
What is going on?
Now might be a great time to do it, though.
I do feel really bad for like landscaping companies who supplement their income by moving snow in the winter.
Yeah. That business has been
I do feel bad for them.
kaput. Yeah, that is rough. I thought about mowing my lawn over the weekend, just to say I mowed my lawn in January.
I have snow on my lawn.
Do you?
Because I have a portion of lawn that never gets, in the wintertime, doesn't ever get an ounce of sunlight or anything.
The shady part. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was actually considering going walking for my workout today, but not at 24 degrees.
It's 9:55 on News Talk 107.9 this year. Club Apple's celebrating something big. 40 years of building healthier lives in southeast Idaho. And for 4 decades, they've been a place where neighbors become friends. Goals turn into habits, and health becomes a way of life, not just a resolution. And to celebrate their 40th, they're making it easier than ever to start the new year the right way. And for a limited time, you can join Club Apple for just $40 down to celebrate their 40 years in business and enjoy no payments until February. That's big savings, plus an entire month to build momentum before your first payment ever hits. Club Apple is not just a gym. It's a full health club experience with pools, over 500 monthly group fitness classes, Pilates, yoga, pickleball, personal training, steam rooms, and so much more. They're a welcoming community that shows up for you every day. Now, if this is the year you finally commit to your health, your energy, and your confidence, this is your moment. Celebrate 40 years with the Club Apple and start your strongest year yet. Here's their website, theclubapple.com. Here's their phone number, 208-529-8600. That's 208-529-8600. All right, Julie, just a couple of minutes left here. We're going to talk more. Obviously, the legislature's getting kind of up to speed.
We do have a tentatively scheduled interview with Barb Ehart, Representative Barb Ehart, tomorrow at 7:30. There was a potential meeting conflict. She's checking that out. But as of right now, she is scheduled. We're going to talk about her experience at the Supreme Court and hearing her landmark case of fairness in women's sports.
Yeah.
And then also she's going to give us a little bit of a preview what she has recognized is happening over the last week and a half at the State House and what she expects for the upcoming future. We also have other feelers out there to get other legislators on for the upcoming weeks. So you can expect a full slate of the lawmakers.
So there's already a bill in the queue.
Okay, which one is it?
It's one that would increase penalties for extreme speeding in school and construction zones by elevating certain cases up to reckless driving.
Okay.
So,
does this feel like something that's just going to sail right through? It does, right?
You never know. Like, I never know. Like, I feel like, okay, well, that sounds like a good idea. But sometimes the committee chair doesn't like who brought it. And, sometimes politics will gum things up and we don't base it solely on the idea. And maybe prosecutors don't like it either because it might be too vague or whatever. Lots of things. But everyone have a wonderful Monday. Julie and I, we will be back. And be sure and join us for Facebook Live by texting live to 208-542-1079. And we'll do a post show here for a few minutes. Everyone, be safe. We'll see you all tomorrow.